There was once a young traveler named Aaron who became famous for solving difficult problems. Wherever he went, people admired him. They praised his intelligence, and slowly he began to believe there was nothing left for him to learn. One day, Aaron arrived at a small village hidden between green mountains. The villagers welcomed him warmly and introduced him to an old gardener who had spent his entire life growing the most beautiful trees anyone had ever seen. Aaron smiled politely but thought, "He's just a gardener. What could he possibly teach me?" The old gardener noticed Aaron's confidence, but said nothing. The next morning, he invited Aaron to help plant 2 young trees. Aaron quickly dug a hole, planted the first tree, and proudly stepped back. "There," he said. "Perfect." The gardener nodded and quietly planted the second tree. Before covering the roots, he carefully loosened the soil, mixed in compost, removed a few stones, and made a small path for rainwater to reach the roots. Aaron laughed. "You're making such a simple job complicated." The gardener simply smiled. Months later, Aaron returned to the village. The tree he had planted was weak, with yellow leaves and thin branches. But the gardener's tree had grown tall, healthy, and full of life. Confused, Aaron asked, "How did this happen?" "We planted them on the same day." The gardener picked up a handful of soil and said gently, "The difference wasn't the tree. It was the care. Small lessons create great results." For the first time, Aaron listened instead of speaking. The gardener then handed him an empty wooden bowl. "What do you see?" he asked. "An empty bowl," Aaron replied. The gardener smiled. "That's why it can be filled. If this bowl believed it was already full, nothing new could ever enter." Those simple words stayed in Aaron's heart. As he continued his journey around the world, he met fishermen who understood the sea better than any map, children who found joy in the smallest things, artists who saw beauty where others saw nothing, and ordinary workers whose patience could teach more than 1,000 books. He realized that wisdom does not belong to one profession, one age, or one title. Every person carries a lesson that no one else can teach in exactly the same way. Years later, people still called Aaron a wise man. But whenever someone praised him, he smiled and replied, "I became wiser the day I stopped trying to prove I knew everything." From that day on, he asked more questions than he answered, listened more than he spoke, and welcomed every new lesson with gratitude. Because the greatest obstacle to learning is not a lack of intelligence. It is the belief that there is nothing left to learn. Moral: the mind that stays open continues to grow. The mind that believes it knows everything closes the door to wisdom.